Bob Sorrentino from Italian Roots and Genealogy, and a little bit twist of what we usually do today. My guest today is Tyler Kruger from the Image Restoration Center. So welcome, Tyler. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited about it. So
Great, great. So I know what the Image Restoration Center is, but you could explain to the listeners and the viewers what it is and how you got started in the business.
yeah, so Image Restoration Center. So it's a business, we do photo restorations and we do printings. We do various different types of services with the photos, like colorizations and rips and tears, and as far as like repairs and different things like that. Really kind of the full gamut of different services. So depending on, kind of how damaged the photo is, it kind of depends on what kind of package you need and stuff like that. But we generally have a very wide range of services that we can actually offer for repairing different photos and doing what we need to really kind of rescue the photo from the clutches of time. So
Yeah, and you also do similar to what MyHeritage does. Also, you put some of the motion stuff in there too, if somebody wants
yeah,
that.
yeah. I always found that was really interesting. Some people like it, some people don't. I feel like everybody has a strong feeling about it, but those that do like it, they think it's really cool. And they'll, especially if it's like a loved one or something like that that's passed away or something like that, they'll keep it. And this will kind of be like you're looking at a little photo, but there's a little bit of life to it, and I don't know, it's something a little bit special. Like I said, some people like it, some people don't, but it's there. So
Yeah, I did it with my grandmother, MyHeritage, and they actually let you put a little story to it.
oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
and you can they build the story for you if
Oh,
you want.
really?
Yeah, from whatever you have in your tree, but then you could
Mhm.
go in and edit it. And it's it's a little weird at first, I have to say, because
Yeah.
I had my grandmother when she was like 17 years old talking and giving, about my family, and my grandson now is doing this kind of stuff. I'll send you it so you can view it. But
Yeah,
uh it is pretty neat once you get used to it. And like you said, it adds a whole extra dimension to everything
it
when you
does.
see that. I mean, that's just, I guess it's some sort of AI process that does that. Yeah.
Yeah, so sort of. I mean, there's definitely manual parts of it as well. But I would say like the industry in general, like technology has definitely helped aid in kind of the efficiency of the process in general. But it's definitely still an art. So, technology definitely helps with those things. It adds new fun and interesting things that we can do, but there's definitely always an art and history behind it. That part's never gonna go away. So
And I think that's the difference, because I've used various things that, try and make a photo look better. But it's not easy.
mm-mm.
If even if you get a really good program, it's still a lot of hard work to it. And I think, in your case, I think that's where the art comes in, because you're not simply just running this through some sort of
Mm-mm.
application. That actually you have a person back there actually fixing it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I try out all like the AI tools because I think that stuff's really fun and interesting. So I'm always like trying them out, just for my own, hey, this is cool. I'll mess around with this. And they're definitely helpful. Like they do a lot of really neat things. But I think one of the things that we're learning with AI in general is that, it helps speed up the capability of a human, but I mean, sometimes it replaces human, but in general, like you still need, especially for things like this, you still need a conductor to kind of pull all these things together. Because a lot of times, whenever I'm trying out some of those different tools, I look at it and be like, this does great work, but it gets you like 90% of the way there. And that last 10% makes a really big difference. Like it's the difference between like, well, I tried, and that's really great. It definitely helps, somebody that's really skilled in what they do, a really good artist that knows how to do these kind of things. It helps make their time a lot more efficient, and it makes it a lot more affordable, which I think is kind of the thing that everybody benefits from. It makes the process more affordable, and it allows all of us to be able to restore and reclaim a lot more history and a lot more photos than we could before. Because, so you asked before, why I got into this. My parents used to have this kind of business. It's not the same one. There was a gap of time there, but I grew up with my dad having like the big tablet, and he thought he was the coolest thing ever when he had like he could start doing his restorations by hand with a pencil, because he's a trained he's an artist by trade. So that was very familiar with him. But back in that day, whenever my parents were doing this kind of thing, it was a very labor intensive process, and which means that it ended up being really, really expensive. So you couldn't really have lots and lots of photos retouched, unfortunately. But with technology, like in a lot of places in our lives, it makes things more efficient. It doesn't replace that expertise, but it does help make things more affordable. And I think in the end, I support it. I'm happy about it because it makes things more accessible to everybody. So
Yeah, and I grew up in a darkroom with my dad, because my dad
yeah,
was a professional photographer for the New York Daily News.
that's awesome.
Then obviously he didn't print those photos. They did that, but he took wedding photos back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. All my friends wedding photos back then. And he used to do black and white. Back then he was using the speed graphic camera, with two plates and
Yeah,
flash bulbs and everything. But I remember going into the dark room with him and printing pictures with him and putting them on the dryer and all of that kind of stuff. And when people started wanting color photos for their weddings, then he decided to send them out, because you had to have everything, just had to be, the chemistry was a lot more complicated for color photos than they were for black and white, and you had to have it mixed just right and everything. And he didn't want to be bothered with that. But I have a bunch of his old pictures that somebody printed for me. Unfortunately, he doesn't own, or we don't own those pictures because they're property of the Daily News, but somebody was kind enough to print off like 150 of them for me. And I'll have to send you a couple of those interesting ones.
Yeah.
So
I'd
you
love
could
to
see
see
what
them.
they look at. So, if somebody wanted to send you a photo, how did they have to send you the actual photo, or can they scan it, or what's the process there?
Yeah, so if somebody wants to have photos restored, so I would say the easiest way is to kind of go to the website, and there's a kind of a step-by-step walkthrough. That's part of this new technology that makes things a lot easier, I think. And you can upload it straight from the website, and kind of choose which type of services you need, depending on what it is, and that makes it really clean and really transparent. It's not like an hourly; you're not paying by hourly; you just pay for what services you need, which just makes it a whole lot easier, I think. But you can go on the website, and then you can also, if you have questions about a photo, you can also email it to us and then say like, hey, I don't know. We get those all the time as well. People will send us emails of photos and say like, hey, I don't know what I need. Here's my photo. Let me know what I need. And that's perfectly fine as well, because it can be sometimes you don't always know exactly what you need for that kind of portion. But yeah, ultimately, going on the website, which is the www.imagerestorationcenter.com. Very straightforward name. It says exactly what we do. Or you can email orders@imagerestorationcenter.com, and that goes to Emily. But yeah, so either way, we'll be happy to take care of that and do what we can, just like your photo. So
Yeah, and I was gonna say my photo came out great. I I know I told Emily the story, but I'll tell her for everybody who's listening. That photo was a family photo of my dad's family from, I think, around 1936 or something like that. And when I first got it from my cousin, I thought it looked pretty cool. I said, boy, for an old photo, this was great. But once it was restored, it's complete, it's amazing the difference
yeah.
in the picture. And the interesting story behind it was I had never seen this photo growing up. I don't know if my parents had it. I don't know if my grandparents had. I don't know where it was. And I got it from my fourth cousin, who we grew up not that far away from each other, never knew each other, maybe met once or twice when we were little kids. But maybe about 5 years ago now, we connected through ancestry.com, and she was going through her grandmother's photos and sent me this picture when my father was maybe about 14 or something like that. And I was just blown away. I said, where has this photo been for all of these years? So it was very special now to have that restored. And I did put it out on the family Facebook page, and everybody was coming back. I didn't tell them yet I didn't do it. So I have to admit, I have to get out there and say, I didn't do it. You know, Tyler and his crew did it. But so you know, you sent me the image, and I know Emily's going to be sending me the print. So, you know, we
That's
get
great.
that. When I get that, I'm going to frame it and put it on my wall with some of my other genealogy stuff.
That's awesome. I love it.
So I want to ask you if there's any plans, or if you think about, you know, a lot of people like myself, I have movies from the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any thought to maybe sometime go into that, or is it just too complicated to do movies?
No, I would definitely like to. I have my list of like to do things and like future plans and that kind of stuff, and it's definitely been on there. So I've definitely researched kind of some of the logistics involved with that. And I actually used to do that on my own when I was, you know, many years ago. But it's definitely a different process than doing the image restoration. So I would say at the moment, no. So right at the moment, we're going to stick with photos. But I would really love to be able to do kind of the photos and be able to do videos and things like that as well. I think that would be a really cool addition, especially whenever you have, because there's some customers that come in and they do have like they basically say like, here's all my stuff, like what can you do? You know, here's the photos, here's the videos, and it's really cool whenever you can you know, take the videos and the photos and really like restore everything all in one place, one trusted place, and be able to reclaim all of that and have it for the future. Because I have old videos and stuff like that from, you know, my grandparents and great grandparents and stuff like that, and they fade just like photos. You know, they don't stick around forever, and I think videos are so much more rare than photos, that, and it's just really a tragedy whenever those things are lost. I think so.
Yeah, and I had, you know, my dad, because he was in the business, he was in the newsreel business for a while. We have some 16 millimeter, which is really good to have. You know, 8 millimeter is
Yeah.
not quite the same as the 16 millimeter stuff, and it's not bad. And I've been able to get some of the shake out of it,
Mhm.
but you know, to actually, fine tune it, you know, that's what's missing. But I'm
Yeah.
working on a project. I have videos from 6 or 8 other Italian families now, and I want to put together a little Ken Burnsy
Cool.
type of documentary, and
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes. Uh, well, Tyler, once again, you know, before we, I have one other question to ask you. What about slides? What if I have a slide that from, you know,
Like,
the 60s or 70s, you know, because they were big back then, the slides.
yeah. You know, we don't do a whole lot of work with slides, to be quite honest, but in all honesty, I can't say that we've actually had somebody send us slides before. So we don't have a whole lot of experience with that. But if you wanted to send one in, we could see what we could do with it. How about that?
I'm gonna send you one.
Yeah, no, and I'm serious.
I'm gonna send you one of me.
Yeah,
And
send it in. We'll see what we could do with it, and then
maybe we expand into a whole nother
there
thing
you
here.
go. There you go. I like it. Let's do it.
Because like I said, they were, you know, slides were very big in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And I used to torture my parents about, you know, getting out the slide machine, and, you know, and back then it wasn't that carousel. It was like a long holder, I guess. And you would put it in there and you had to turn each one by, I'm dating myself. I'm going back to 1955.
No worries. No worries.
Well, this has been fun, Tyler. Once again, for everybody listening, how do they get it to you? What's the website?
It is www.imagerestorationcenter.com, or you can email us at orders at imagerestorationcenter.com.
Super. Thanks a lot.